All right, you guys, what's up? It is Doug, your host of the Blind Eye Podcast, and today is the first official episode 1. Welcome to the Blind Eye Podcast. And on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my life story, the origins of Blind Eye Productions, Blind Eye Gaming, and Blind Eye Music, and maybe some other stuff. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and enjoy the show. All right, you guys, this is it, baby. Episode 1 of the Blind Eye Podcast. But this isn't the first time I've done this. Think of this as a reboot to what came before. So, there's going to be a lot of backtracking on what came before and explaining the brand new branding that I am doing now. So, let's get right into it with my life story. We'll just start from the beginning when I popped out of my mother. So, when I was born 3 months before I was supposed to be. And when you are born 3 months before you're supposed to be, there's going to be some things that are a bit off. And I had a detached retina in my right eye. Well, I have a detached retina in my right eye. And I was put in an incubator and on oxygen, which is what caused the detached retina. I had tubes and wires. Well, I don't know about wires, but tubes and all this stuff like plugged into me. IV. I had an IV in my foot, and I think that one blew up. Yeah, that one blew up in my foot. So I got a pretty badass scar on my foot. It's pretty dope. And I had open heart surgery. They had to go through my back, and I got a scar there. And apparently there was one in my head, and Mom saw that, and she was like, yeah, take that out of his head, please. So I'm glad that they took that one out, because if that one had exploded or something, who knows if I would even be here right now. So I was 1 pound, 12 and a half ounces. Can you believe that? That's insane. 1 pound, 12 and a half ounces when I was born. And I am considered to be a miracle baby, which is awesome. And looking at me now, I'm 32. You wouldn't even be able to tell that I was born 3 months before it was supposed to be, that I was a premature baby. You couldn't even tell. The only way you can tell is like because I'm considered to be legally blind by the state of Florida. And I'm on SSI, disability, and stuff like that. I don't use a guide dog or a cane or anything, but I am considered to be legally blind by the state. And with my vision, it is like, let me see if I can try my best to describe this. So when I am looking at somebody, to them it looks like I'm looking off to the side, but I'm really looking at them. But so if I were to make it look like I'm looking at somebody, I have to look off to the side a little bit and make it look like my pupils are looking at the person. But I always just tell everybody that I meet, like, hey, it may not look like I'm looking at you. It may look like I'm looking off to the side, but trust me, I am looking at you. Just go with it. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's fine. And my right eye, was where the detached retina is, that is the blind eye, which is where the name, the rebranding comes in. We'll get into that in a minute. And I can barely see out of that eye. Like if I close my left eye, I could see, but it's like, it's hard to describe, but yeah. Now my left eye, I consider that the good eye. It does all the work pretty much, and it's blurry without my glasses on. I need my glasses. That's like a whole big thing, and I will never be able to drive a car, which sucks. I'm sure that there's people that have like a glass eye or something in one eye and they can drive, but they got like really good vision in their good eyes, so it's different for me. I'll never be able to drive a car unless we get like self-driving cars, which are around, but there's like few and far between. But once they're like a big thing in like 5, 10 years, maybe I can like, you know, have a car and like be cool and be like a normal person who's able to drive or whatever. And so there's that. And that's not all, folks. I also have glaucoma. Lovely. So that was, let's see, when did I find out I had glaucoma? That was like 2017, I think, because I was living with my great aunt. Yeah, I think that's about right. 2017. Like how that occurred, how I found out about it, the glaucoma thing was I must have like burst a blood vessel in my eye somehow, whether I sneezed or whatever. And we went to go visit mom at work, and as we're walking up, she's like, "Oh my God, what is that? What happened to your eye?" I'm like, "What?" So I took a photo of it, and there was like a blood vessel that burst in my eye, and I didn't even hurt. I didn't even feel it. I didn't even know it was there. My great aunt didn't even notice, but mom sure did. And so we made an appointment at the eye doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, you have glaucoma." So I went to another eye doctor, and so he put me on these eye drops, and everything was going good for like 6 months. And then I got this pain in my eye. It felt like there was something like in my eye, but I couldn't get it out. I tried washing it out and doing all that stuff, and that didn't work. And it was getting all like red or pink, whatever, and it was hurting every time I blinked. And then there was like stuff leaking out, and I don't know. I was like, what in the world's going on? And so then I find out it's an eye infection. So I'm like, okay, I've never had this before, so so then he put me on antibiotic eye drops. I had to take those, and let me tell you something right now. Eye infections, yo, this was no joke, and this wasn't the first time I had. Well, this is the first time I had it, but this was the first of many eye infections. So we're gonna go right through this whole timeline right now. This sucked so damn bad. Let me tell you something. You do not want this shit. You do not want this. When I tell you, like, it hurt to blink, and I had to be in my room in the dark, like pitch black dark, because it messed up your photosensitivity to light. My eyes were so, man, oh my God, it hurt so damn bad. Like, I couldn't be in any type of light from the phone. I had to put my phone on like the what do you call it, the dimmest screen, and even that hurt my eyes looking at it. And then like I had to wear sunglasses, like constantly have like a thing of tissues. I had like a garbage bag, and I filled that thing up because I'd be out of commission for like a week, maybe over a week, because this shit took forever to heal. You had to put antibiotic eye drops in your eye for like however long, like 10 days, something like that. 2 different kinds of drops now. You had to do that. You had to do a certain kind in like the morning, and then like a different kind like every 2 hours or something like that. And oh my God, you have no idea. That sucked. And that was the first time. But with this, it was the same deal every time. The same eye drops, the same amount of time. So that happened. It was like December, I think, because it was my birthday, and I think it was no, it was 2018. It was 2018 when this happened. That's right, because it was my birthday, and Red Dead Redemption 2 had come out like in October, but I never got it because I got it for my birthday. I couldn't even play it because my eye infection. I had to wait like over like a week to play it. And I was so bummed. I'm like, man, I get this badass game I've been dying to play, and I can't even play it. So yeah, that sucks so bad. We were like trying to figure it out. Like, could it have been from me using my PlayStation VR? Rest in peace, PlayStation VR. That thing broke. But I was like, it can't be from that because I've used it, a lot of times before that. So it couldn't have been from that. So it's like maybe it's the drops. So that gets cleared up. And let's see, I think it was at the end of February, beginning of March, because Captain Marvel had come out. And the damn shit came back again. Eye infection came back, but this time it was in the other eye. So I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So we go back there. He prescribes me the drops again, and we're trying to figure this out. Like, I think he gave me the same drops the second time because he was like, okay, you're not doing it right. So we're gonna, we're gonna figure this out. Because it's the, like, spoiler alert, it's the glaucoma drops that caused this shit. My eyes had, like, some type of allergic reaction to the glaucoma drops. So he's like, okay, you're not doing it right. You got to do it this way. I'm like, okay, whatever. So so the first one was in December 2018. So here we are, 2019, end of February, beginning of March. Captain Marvel's coming out. I'm hyped up to watch this shit. So as I'm watching, I'm like, okay, something's off. Like the sensitivity to light thing's coming back, and then like the whole when I blink thing, it hurts. So we start the cycle over again. We go there, he gives me antibiotic drops, and we go back and see him a bunch of times. So we do the whole song and dance. I can't see nothing. I'm in my room for like over a week again. My eye, like, it sucks when you're trying to sleep because the stuff's constantly leaking out of your eye. Constantly washing my hands. It sucks. Oh my god, it sucks so bad. So then here we go. We're not done. Let's see, end of February, beginning of March. So then it happens a third time. Like a month later, like a month and a half, 2 months later. Round 3. And then so he puts me on like a different type of glaucoma drop. And then the same thing happened. And then it happened like 3 or 4 times. But the 5th time, this is all in the same year. This ain't no over 2 or 3 years. Hell no. This was over in the same year. Within like every other month I was getting an eye infection. So let me tell you something. August of that same year. August of 2019. So what is it? December 2018 to August 2019. The 5th eye infection, the last one I had, thank God, was the worst one. That sucked so bad because that time I got the damn eye infection in both eyes. Let me tell you something, that was the worst shit ever. That, oh my god, it probably took a little bit longer for that one to heal up because it was in both eyes. Oh my god. And it was the same, he put me on different glaucoma drops and it still messed up my eyes. So, and then I had to do the whole song and dance. Out of commission for over a week. Couldn't look at anything with light. The fourth time I got it sucked because that's when E3 was happening. And I was in my room with the phone on the darkest part of the screen that it could go. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching the Spider-Man reveal. And I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. It sucks that, because I had an eye infection. And so I was like, man, this sucks. I got this shit. But at least I could still kind of, watch it. And so, yeah. But anyway, back to August with the 5th and final eye infection. Hopefully I don't ever have to go through that crap again. That crap sucks so goddamn bad. So, yeah. That was the worst. I remember I walked into the eye doctor and like the secretary lady, she's awesome. And all I did was I took my sunglasses and lifted them up, or I showed her, and she's like, "Oh dear God, he's got it in both eyes." That's exactly what she said. And oh yeah, that was bad. It was so bad. But I am so glad we finally figured this shit out. He's got me on a glaucoma drop that are disposable. I take it once a day. At night before I go to bed, because every other time I took glaucoma drops I had to take it in the morning and at night and all this shit, and that's probably why I did it, because I had to take it so many times. But anyway, we're only on 1 drop a day, and that's at night time, and they're disposable, so we should be good. We've what are we at, 2022 now? So yeah, we haven't had any issues, thank goodness, man. That sucks so bad. So we're all caught up. Born 3 months before I was supposed to be. Put in an incubator and on oxygen. An IV blew up in my foot. I had an open heart surgery through my back. So I got a scar on my foot, scar on my back. There was an IV in my head. Mom told him to take it the hell out. She freaked out about that. and the glaucoma thing. So here we are. So that's basically the life story. So now I think it's time to move on to the next topic here. I'm looking through my notes real quick. So let's see. Oh, yeah. We're not done. We're not done. We're not done. So that's like the part about the visual impairment stuff. So now, let's see. Growing up. Oh, baby. Growing up. So we're going back to the school days. Elementary school, high school, well, mostly like elementary school was like, it was pretty dope because uh I would get taken out of class for like, for like vision stuff. I had like a vision teacher come, and every time she showed up and she was like, "Is Doug here, ready to go?" And then I'd be like, "All right, yep, go." I'd be all excited because I got to get out of class for a bit and like go like do cool vision stuff, and like we would do computer stuff and use a magnifier, and I got to use all that stuff in class, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's so cool, it makes the words bigger," and I used it. I loved it. I was like getting all the attention. It was cool as shit. And then as the years go and you get older, I got into like middle school, and middle school I was kind of like, I used like, I was all, cool, like, but then as like the final year of middle school and then you go into high school, then I would start like, okay, I kind of don't want to do the whole vision teacher thing. I don't want to get taken out of class. I don't want to use magnifiers and a little telescope and all that shit. Because then that's when the kids start making fun of you or whatever. Or at least I get like, what do you call it? Like self-conscious about using it or whatever the term is. I think that's it. So then I would like kind of like not use the stuff as much or at all. So, so there's that. Let me see. Okay. So that was up back when I lived in upstate New York growing up. And then uh, eventually, Mom and I moved down to Florida. We lived in Boca Raton for a bit, Boca Raton, whatever the pronunciation is. And Port St. Lucie for a bit. I remember I was doing Florida virtual school. I did that for a bit. And then eventually, my aunt, who is in upstate New York, she told me and my mom about this facility in Daytona Beach where it's like a school for, people that are visually impaired or blind. And it's the Conklin Center. So they basically teach you how to live independently on your own. It's like cooking classes, like transportation and money management and stuff like that. So I went through that whole program, which is pretty cool. That was back in, I think I started that like 2009. There was like a 2 week evaluation. You go there, you stay in like a little dorm room, which is pretty cool. This place was awesome. Met some cool friends there who I'm still friends with to this day, which is awesome. So you go in the 2 week evaluation, and I thought it was like you perform and do what you got to do, and then they decide if you come back or not. But no, it's up to you. Obviously, that would be stupid if it was up to them, or that would kind of suck if they denied somebody. And it's like, oh, you don't want to let this person in, whatever. But no, it's up to you, which is awesome. So then you go back home, whatever. And then eventually you go back for a 3 month evaluation, and you go back in the dorm room. Maybe it's the same one, maybe it's not. Mine was a different room this time, and it's exactly what it is, like a little tiny room with a desk, a shelf to put clothes in, and a bed, and a bathroom that you had to share with someone else. That kind of sucked because then you didn't know if someone was in there. I know you knock on the door, I know, but still, like, that's just me. I hate doing that shit. And you would have a cleaning class where you would clean your dorm room and every, like, I think it was like every week or something like that. And then like every other week you would clean the bathroom, because you would alternate cleaning the bathroom with your roommate if you had one on the other side. And you would have a cooking class they would teach you. you would go shopping, and you would, write out a shopping list and get everything you need, and then you would like pick whatever you wanted to make. And I killed it doing all that because I knew how to do all that stuff. And Richard, he's awesome. He was my cleaning guy and my cooking guy. And you would also they would teach you the buses and how all that worked. Like my basic places that I wanted to go was the movie theater and the mall. That was my two like main places that I went to all the time. So they were like, all right, we're gonna get you a bus pass, and and you get like discount because you're disabled, and stuff like that, which was awesome. I would always get a monthly pass, show them my disability card, and there's like, here you go. I think it was like $20, maybe 40. I think it was somewhere around there, between 20 or 40. And then you would just learn the route. And then when you were, you had to have clearance, like once you did it on your own a few times, so you don't get lost, so they know that, okay, he's got it. He can go whenever he wants. So I learned them routes right quick. I got them routes down because that's where I was constantly going by myself all the time, constantly going to the mall and then to the movie theater, and then I eventually got a job over there, which I worked there for 4 years as an usher, strictly an usher, ripping tickets and cleaning the theaters, and I met like the coolest people ever that worked there that I work with, and like had the coolest managers ever there. They were the best managers ever. And then we'll get to that in a minute. So I'm kind of like jumbling around, but it's okay. It's all good. So that actually kind of ties into the next point. So while you're at the Conklin Center doing the program, and there's also like a money management thing there. Okay, we're gonna get into that because that kind of sucked. So you'd have like, I had a money lady, and every week they would go through. I mean, I kind of understand why they did it, but it kind of pissed me off at the same time because it's like you can like they look through all the receipts, that everything that you bought for the week, whether you went grocery shopping and all that stuff. So you had to budget out, which I get it. They getting ready for the real world, budget out money and learn how to live on a budget and all that shit. But you could only have $20 a week for recreation or fun money. $20 a week for that. So if you wanted to like buy a game, it would take like 3 weeks to take $20 and then buy a game, for an example. Me, I didn't give a shit. Like I was just like, are you serious? Like I think I went and bought like handcuffs or something for like movie prop. And Richard, I remember he saw the receipt and he was like, "Yeah, let me take a look at your receipt." And so I was like, "All right." He's like, "Well, what did you do? Why'd you get these handcuffs for?" He's like, then he goes, "That should have been spent with your rec money." I'm like, "Really?" So like there was like, I was always like ranting about that. I mean, I get why they do what they do, but at the same time, it's like, you got to look at my receipts every week. That's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, that kind of pissed me off, but at the same time I understood it, but still it is what it is. So there was that. And then you would have like a little like a workshop class kind of thing where you would actually make a little bit of money, not a lot. And it was basically like I guess like gas stations, they have sunglasses, like cheap ones, and we would put the tags on them or pack them up. Or what was the one thing we did? I think there was something with I think everything had like a little counter thing, and you would hit the button every time you packed one up. And then I was doing such a good job, and they're like, "Hey, you're like killing it over here, so we can't pay you more because for whatever reason, because I was just like doing so good." But that's like a little like intro to the workplace. Like it's like to get you like prepped up. So this is all while you're still in the dorm. I haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. So you're still in the dorm, and while you're in there, while you do all that stuff in the program, you're like, you actually find a real job. And I remember like, first they put you out in like some like, what do you call it, like a work experience. Well, I did Publix. I remember I bagged over there for a couple days. It was all right. So there was that, and then so Michael's was like the first like real job that I did, and I remember that one was all right. It was okay. So as far as getting there transportation wise, I can't forget about Votran Gold, which is like a shuttle bus kind of thing. And you would have to call ahead and tell them what time you need to be there, what time to pick you up. I did that a couple times. It was alright. I just like the buses better. But so Michael's, that was around November, I think I started. And that was like the first like real thing. And you, well, the thing is with the centers, like you have to hold the job down for like a certain amount of time, like a few months, and then the changes start happening in the center. We'll get to that. So Michael's, needless to say, I didn't last long there. It was just like a temporary, like seasonal thing, and it was all right. I walked around and scanned stuff and I did go backs a lot. I put stuff back where it went, and there'd be people asking where they could find things, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'll check," and I would just run around the store until I found someone and asked them, like, "Hey, where do we find this?" And I would have to go find the customer again, and be like, "Oh, it's over down whatever aisle or whatever." That job was okay. It was around Christmas time. So eventually I left that job, which was cool, whatever. Because the job I really wanted was the movie theater job, and I eventually got it. And let me tell you, that was the best job I ever had. Like I said, I was strictly an usher. I, teared tickets and cleaned theaters and did theater checks and all that stuff. And the people that I worked with were the best people ever. And the managers I worked with were the best managers ever. And all of us, when every Sunday night we went out and partied it up. Ain't no party like a Paragon party, because at Paragon we party hard, and we sure goddamn did. We partied it up every Sunday night, and I had to work every time. Every single time we went out partying, I had to work the next day. I had to work every Monday, every single time, except maybe once or twice I was lucky and didn't have to worry about it. But every time we went out partying, I had to work the next day. And you bet your damn ass, I showed up every single day. Every single time. I never called out. Every time we went partying, I showed up for work the next day. There was one time we went and we didn't get back. I didn't get dropped off to my house till the damn sun was literally rising. It was like 8:30 in the morning or something like that, maybe 6:30 or 7. So the sun was coming up. I went into my room. I slept for 2.5 hours. I woke up and I was like, woo, it's time to go to work. So I went to work. Dude, everyone was coming in like, this sucks. We're all hungover. I'm like, hey, what's up? So yeah, that was that story. But anyway, so you hold down the job for a certain amount of time, like 3 months. And then they move you to a bigger like training apartment in the school, which was awesome. Mine was on the other side of the building, so I had that whole side to myself. And it has a living room, a kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom. And it's basically the same deal. You can, instead of like going to like the school's like designated kitchen class area thing, you can make all your food and store all your food in your little apartment, training apartment. So you hang out there, you do your thing like normal, except it's just in a bigger room basically. And for like 3 months. And then when you're done with that, you go in and they're like, all right, now we're going to move you into an actual apartment that we own out in the community. Yo, this place, the Novelwood Apartments, this place was the best. And it sucks because they didn't have any spots open when I was done there, so I couldn't stay there. But man, let me tell you, that was that was my favorite place they ever put me. So it's basically the same deal, you're just in a different spot. And and you pay rent at the one that's in the school and out in the out in the community is like a training thing, so you're ready and get you acclimated to doing it for real. And it was the coolest spot, man. I love that place. I didn't want to leave. So eventually, the same deal, same cycle. After a few months of being there, that's when you actually find a place to live, like permanently. This is where you're going to be at, and then you graduate and do all that. So they moved me into the Melee apartments, government housing. So oh boy, here we go. So this place was cool. It was small as shit compared to all the other places I've been at, and it was a living room on one side, kind of like a little wall, and then a bedroom and a bathroom, and like a kitchen. And it was kind of all like one big room with like a little dividing wall, kind of separating the living room and the bedroom. And I liked it. It was pretty cool. It was cool for me. I was the only person there. And I had all my stuff there, like all my games, my laptop, Blu-rays, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, and all the games and stuff that comes into play. So then I'm like, doing my thing, going to the movie theater, working, watching movies, hanging out. The partying didn't happen until later, like after that. So so I was living it up, making little movies that I made, like little videos or whatever. And I was living there for about, what was it? Like a year and a half, I think. Had to be. If I'm thinking about this right, if I got this right, November 2010, I think, was when I moved there to July 2012. So yeah, 2 years, 2.5 years, I think. 2010 to 11. Yeah, so yeah, 2.5 years. Forgive that little slow little bit there. I had to figure that out, so it's all good. So yeah, about 2.5 years living there was cool. So this one day, I always took the bus to work. I was always there on time or early most of the time because of the way the buses run. And I always worked during the day because I would work at night at times, but it would always be like a rush to get out because the buses stop at like a certain time at night. Like 11 was the last time they would go through the transfer plaza that's in the parking garage down there, right across from work, which was like perfect from the movie theater. So it was like the perfect spot. And so they always scheduled me to work in the day. One time, I think they had me on a Sunday, which I never work Sundays either because the buses stopped at 6. But I was like, fine, it's, if you need me, whatever. So I went to work like normal, and I think I had to walk home that day because of buses or whatever. So I was like, it's fine. I've done it like once or twice before. I don't like to do it, but whatever, it's fine. So I had like a Freddy poster on the front door on the inside. So as I'm walking up, I got this really weird feeling that something was off. Here we go. So when I first moved in there was like this lady, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you're new." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm new." She's like, "So what floor are you on?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm on 7." I didn't say my apartment number or nothing like that. I was just like, "Oh, I'm on the 7th floor." She's like, "Oh, you're on the druggy floor." So I was like, okay. So I kind of brushed it off and didn't think much of it. So this is like right when I moved in. So 2.5 years later, it's July. So I had to go to work. I had to walk home. And that's when I had this whole place decked out with posters. I had all my games and PS2 and all the games for that, PS3 all the games for that, laptop, a PlayStation Vita, had a few games for that, and a digital camera, and that comes into play here in a second. So as I'm walking up, and I had like this cool like blood splatter thing sticking in that sticks to the window. It said "Beware" on it. It was pretty dope. And as I'm walking up, I had like this feeling just hit me, like something is off. Something does not feel right now, and I don't know what in the hell it is. So I go to my door, and I always lock it, and I make sure it's locked. I check it every time. I double check it and all that before I leave. I go to turn the doorknob, and it's unlocked. So I'm like, okay, why is my door unlocked? That's a bit weird. Maybe pest control came in and they forgot to lock the door, or maybe some, like the management or whatever came to check something and they forgot to lock it. So, and I look inside, my Freddy poster fell. It's on the floor. That thing, it fell quite often, whatever. It fell all the time on the floor. So I'm like, no, whatever. Big deal. I'll just put it back up on the door. I turned the light on. I will never forget what I saw. The whole apartment was freaking absolutely completely trashed. All my like, I had a bunch of stuff in this entertainment center that I kept on the bottom, just threw a bunch of random crap down there. It was all over the floor. Stuff was knocked over. My flat screen TV that I had gotten for Christmas like 6 months before that was gone. My PlayStation 3, all the games for that were gone. My PlayStation 2 and all the games for that were gone. I don't think my Blu-rays were touched. I think the Blu-rays are still there. And my laptop was gone. My PlayStation Vita and the games for that were gone. My digital camera was gone. So yeah, I basically got robbed. That sucked so bad. So I immediately freak out. I'm calling like my job coach from the Conklin Center. I'm calling like everybody. I'm leaving messages. I'm calling my mom, my grandpa. I'm calling everybody. And so she shows up, and so she's like, "Do you need help?" She asked if I needed help. Yeah, obviously. So I was like, "Yeah." I'm like crying. I'm like, "Yeah, I need help." She's like, "All right." So she calls. A police officer shows up, and he's like walking all over the shit, and he's questioning me. He's like telling me, because this is what they're supposed to do, and I'm telling him I got up like normal. I got up at this time, went to work. I wait for the bus at this time. I get to work at this time. I do what I do there, and I come home around this time. Except it was different because it was Sunday, so I had to walk home. And I have the key around my neck at all times. I'm the only one that has a key to this apartment. No one else has a key to it. And so I tell him again. He's like, "All right, what you're telling me is not adding up. So you're going to tell me the truth?" So I told him the same exact thing, the same exact way. And so then, him and my job coach and her boss are out in the hallway. Well, not hallway, it was like outside, whatever. And so I hear her saying, that laptop, that's his life. He's got, so much stuff on there. It's, all that stuff. And so he comes back. He's like, "All right. I asked you all these, I asked you to tell me the story multiple times. It's, part of the, what I have to do." And obviously he said, "The chances of you getting any of your stuff back is like slim to none." And I was like, "Yeah, that's understandable." Yeah. I bought everything back slowly but surely. It sucked, but as far as like a new PlayStation and games and stuff. And I think I did I rebuy another Vita? I think I did. I don't remember. But yeah. But the thing that was crazy was I was telling the police officer everything, and he goes, "What you're telling me, it's not adding up." Like he honestly thought I trashed my own place and hid my shit somewhere. He thought I did it. I don't know why he would think a blind person would go through all that trouble. What would be the point? But this part was messed up. This scared the shit out of me. So we go outside. So he shines the light on the door, and there's these scratches right where the lock is, because it was a chain lock door and like a bolt lock. So all you have to do is like Jimmy rig the lock open and you're in. Like that's all that the doors, that's how they lock. That's all you have to do is just open up that bolt, the deadbolt, and you're in. So there was a bunch of scratches right next to it where someone like took a card or something and opened it somehow. And then the part that freaked me out the most was every apartment had like a little window above the door, and he shone the light on it. You could see the finger smudges of where someone tried to, obviously jumped up to peek in to see if I was home or not. So this was definitely premeditated. They knew, like, okay, this dude's got a bunch of electronics and shit. He leaves at this time, doesn't get back till this time. So we know when to, we scoped him out. We know when to go rob him. So yeah, that sucked. So I went back to the center that night. I moved back. I went back home for like a couple weeks while I figured out what in the hell is going on. The job's calling me, wondering what's going on. I'm like, dude, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. And so, eventually I went back to Novawood. And this was like another temp thing that didn't have any spots open, so I couldn't stay there. And I was like, damn. So then, eventually found an actual house. So I got I got to room it up with some roommates. And everything was going good. Do the same song and dance, go to work, get to know them and all that stuff. And everything was going good there for like 2 years, 2.5 years, however long it was. So it's like 2014 now. That was in 2012 when I got robbed. So about September was when I moved in with the roommates. They were awesome for a while. So there was one roommate who was completely blind, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And there was another roommate who was he had sight and everything. He was like normal dude. And I hit it off with both of them. They were both cool. Until one day, the blind roommate just decides to leave. And this was like 2.5 years of being there. So this is 2014 now, September 2014. And he just leaves. He didn't warn us. He didn't say he was leaving. He's just gone. And so then me and the other roommate were just chilling one day, and then the power just goes out, and the water goes out. The blind dude just left us high and dry and didn't say anything. He just left us. I don't know why, but he did that, and then so it sucks. So me and the other roommate were kind of like, we're just kind of rocking it for a bit. Yeah, he left in like August, like July or August. So me and the other roommate were just kind of, surviving on, dealing with this. So then eventually I moved out. So I was just like, all right. I eventually moved out of there, moved back with mom. And so after all that, so yeah, my luck in Daytona was just like, it was cool, but then there's like all that stuff happening. So yeah, people ask me sometimes like, you ever want to move back to Daytona? I'm like, no, I'm good. I would be perfectly fine never going back there ever again. So there's that. And then I moved, like I said, then I moved back in with mom. So this is like September 2014. And then she got promoted at her job. So we lived where, back in where she was living. And then when she got promoted after a few months, like November 2014, we went and moved to South Carolina. Which, South Carolina, like we lived there till, let's see, we lived in an apartment for a bit. And until like 2016 of November 2016. So we lived in this apartment for a while, which was cool. Like I wasn't a fan of South Carolina really. I thought it was boring. Didn't really know I didn't know anybody. And then I got a job at Publix for a bit, bagging, and then bakery eventually, which was cool. There were some cool people there, but not as cool as the movie theater. That was like the ultimate, like, coolest experience ever. And we eventually moved into this bigger house, and then that was like lasted for like 6 months. And then April 25th, 2017 was when we moved back to Florida. I remember that day specifically because Outlast 2 was coming out that day, and I was so hyped to play it. And then mom just broke the news like, hey, we're moving back to Florida. And then we did. So we moved back. Moved in with my great aunt, Aunt Jen. as she liked to be called, Sexy, Aunt Sexy. That was just like a funny saying. And then 2018, May 2018, moved in with my mom and stepdad, and that's where I've been up to current day. So we're here right now. I'm in my room recording episode 1 of the Blind Eye Podcast for you all. So there we are, I think. It was a long life story, so there we go. There's that. But now, the next topic here for the first episode is going to be the origins of Blind Eye Productions, Blind Eye Gaming, and Blind Eye Music, and the Blind Eye Podcast. So here we go. Alright. I'm not going to do like a music break thing like I've done before. So we're just going to get right into this because editing that is a pain in the ass. So, and trying to pick like something that fits in with the overall theme. It is what it is. We'll just rock this. So anyway, here we go. So the origins of Blind Eye and Blind Eye Productions, Blind Eye Gaming, Blind Eye Music, and the Blind Eye Podcast. So we're going to have to go way back. So I like to think of Blind Eye, it is a rebrand of what came before. So obviously my original branding was Microglass Productions, Microglass Gaming, Microglass Music, Microglass Podcast, all that stuff. And I've done the whole podcast thing before with Microglass, but now that I've rebranded, I am rebooting it and starting it fresh and doing all that cool stuff. So, yeah. So basically, I guess to explain how Blind Eye came to be, I got to explain how Microglass came to be. I remember back in like 2006, not Blind Eye. See, I'm gonna get shit mixed up here, so forgive me. So Microglass, I think how that came about was at the time there was like there was who my stepdad was at the time. He was like involved with like this film crew. I don't know how legit they were. Like they were legit. They had done some stuff, but they wasn't like nothing Hollywood level, nothing big. So I remember they were like, yeah, you know, can you come up with like a name, like for whatever it was? And I was just like kind of thinking on something. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I even told him what it was. I think I just thought of it because I wanted to do something like with like a magnifying glass, something to do with like, being visually impaired, that type of thing. So I came up with Microglass. I don't know exactly how. I just think I just thought of it and it just sounded cool, so I just kind of ran with it. And the original logos was a magnifying glass with Microglass Productions and all that on the inside of it. And it was pretty cool. So I kind of like had that kind of idea for it. So basically that's how that happened. And all the stuff I've made through Microglass Productions over the years, I rebranded it to Blind Eye Productions. So basically there's that. And then God dang it. And then Microglass Gaming, it's the same thing. Microglass Music, Microglass Podcast. It's all the same thing. I just took, each hobby and put Microglass on it. But now everything's rebranded to Blind Eye. So, and so all my fan films from Jonathan Crane, a.k.a. Scarecrow from DC Comics, best Batman villain ever, to my fan films on the director and H.R. Blood and Guts from Halloween Horror Nights, to all my original stuff such as Lunatic 1 and 2, soon to be 3, and the Narrator Anthology series. It's all the same, just rebranded the Blind Eye. Now how I came up with Blind Eye, I was like, like within the last year, so 2021, like around somewhere in the middle of 2021, for a while I was like, I kind of want to, I think I might rebrand it. Because I was wanting to rebrand for a while, but I was just like thinking about the opportune time and the name. And then one day I'm just like, I'm going to do it. Blind Eye it's more personal. It makes a lot more sense than Micro Glass, but Blind Eye was a more personal thing because obviously I'm blind in my right eye, so it makes sense. It's more personal. So that's what I did. Blind Eye was born. Came up with the name, the logo. There's like a couple variations of the logo, but I think I've got a logo that I can settle on for right now. I might change it within a year. You never know. Uh, and you see it. It's an eyeball, obviously, with a bunch of blood splatter on it. And I was debating, I'm like, should I do like a brown eye because that's my eye color? Should I do something different, like a red eye with darker red blood splatter on it, which is what I did. Not sure how much sense that makes, but I like it. It's pretty cool. Or if I was gonna do what is it called, like a pigmentation or pigmented eye, like a actual, like how a blind eyeball would actually look with blood splatter on it. So you never know, I might change it up like in 6 months or a year. You never know. I like to have little variations of logos. It's pretty cool. So there's Blind Eye right there. The origins of Blind Eye. Everything is pretty much the same. And speaking of, now we're on the subject of Blind Eye Productions. At the beginning of December 2021, I made a video called Coming Attractions, which showcases all of my fan films, original films, and stuff that's unannounced. That is announced in that video. So that is a whole nother topic with my original films. I don't know if I want to get into that now because we're already running pretty long on this episode of the podcast. But so there's Blind Eye Productions. Go check out all my films and stuff if you want. And yeah, I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make like everything relating to my films and stuff. I might make that a whole separate episode just because I don't want this episode to run over too long. So there we go. You're gonna get a whole episode dedicated to my original films like Lunatic and the narrator and all that cool stuff. So there we go. Blind Eye Gaming was I got into that idea when I lived in South Carolina, and I was doing micro glass gaming at the time, and I was streaming one day, and I streamed for like 4 hours, and I was just like, hey, I had so much fun with it. And then I was like, why don't I just like do like let's plays and live streams and stuff like that, and get my real time reactions to games because I like the game. It's another hobby of mine, obviously. And so there we go. Micro Glass Gaming was born and then eventually turned into Blind Eye Gaming. So here we are, baby. Blind Eye Gaming. I got basically with YouTube, I made a whole brand new YouTube. So now instead of having 3 separate channels devoted or dedicated to each hobby, I just made a brand new YouTube, Blind Eye Official, where you're at, because everything is going to be on here. Movie stuff, video game stuff, music stuff, and the podcast is going to be exclusively on here because I don't know how to put it anywhere else. So there we go. So I basically got, like I said, all my original films, fan films, a bunch of video game stuff, random video game clips, maybe a review. I know I have one review of Five Nights at Freddy's. And just random stuff that I come up with, little skits or whatever, and video game stuff. And then moving on to the music side of things, micro glass music was a thing that I made also while in South Carolina. I had an Alesis DM10 electronic drum set. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately, but I do now have an Alesis DM10 Nitro Mesh electronic drum set. I think that's what it is now. I can't remember. Something like that. So yeah, I used to do drum covers, but I kind of backed off on those because I don't want to get in trouble with copyright stuff, because copyright's a pain in the ass. And so I just uploaded some of my music stuff, of like drum covers to my own music, basically. So it's like live on drums, kind of. So I have a bunch of stuff up here, even though I think they're on private mode. I need to make a video, like a sampling of a little bit of each track, and I'll put those up. It'll be better so no one takes my shit from me and uses it and makes money off it. So that's why. So yeah, there we go. Blind Eye Music and obviously the Blind Eye podcast. So this is like a reboot of the Microglass podcast that came before, which is cool. So I'm definitely gonna do more episodes of the podcast, and hopefully, from what I've listened to so far while editing, it sounds really good. I'm using the same headphones that I did before. It's not a headset. It's not a mic. It's just like a pair of earbuds. It's a Sony, I think. And the last pair I had, it was a red pair, and this one's blue. It's got the mic on the and the string. It's one of those, and it sounds really good. I love this for recording. It's awesome. So, and I'm probably gonna leave this like no music in the background throughout the whole thing. It's probably easier that way. I had my clapperboard clock. I had to take the battery out for this because I didn't want to hear like for the whole time when I'm talking. It would have been a distraction. So I think that's it. I think that's it for the first episode of the Blind Eye Podcast. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. And I hope you like the music. I wrote it. I do all the original stuff for everything that I do. And I love it. It's awesome. The film stuff, the video game stuff, the music stuff, the podcast stuff, I love it. So there it is. So check me out over on Instagram, Blind Eye Official, Twitter, Blind Eye Official, even though I barely use Twitter. TikTok, Blind Eye Official. I love TikTok. I just recently got into TikTok. I love that thing. That's awesome. And obviously YouTube, you're here, Blind Eye Official, and on Twitch, which is Blind Eye Official. Everything's Blind Eye Official. I stream over on Twitch every Monday, Thursday, and Friday nights at 6 p.m. Recently I've been streaming Horizon Zero Dawn because I'm getting hyped for Horizon Forbidden West, which comes out February 18th. As far as schedules go for the podcast, I have no damn idea. It's just whenever I feel like talking about something. There's no set schedule for this. It's just whenever I feel like talking about something, I'm going to put out a new episode. So that's why you got to follow me on all these things so you know when there's a new episode of the podcast, baby. So there it is. I hope you all enjoyed the first episode of the Blind Eye Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. And that's it, I guess. I'll see you guys for episode 2. Not sure what it's going to be. It might be a lunatic episode, a narrator episode, maybe both. So yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you guys for the next episode.